Hey there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the exciting world of the Minnesota Vikings. Can you believe it? They've won 4 games in a row and are sitting at an impressive 9-2. It's time to chat about how far this team can really go. Just 2 days ago, the Vikings pulled off a thrilling 30-27 victory against the Chicago Bears in overtime. It wasn't all smooth sailing, though. They gave up 17 points in the fourth quarter, and there was a moment when Sam Darnold had to shake off an injury. But hey, that's football. Going on the road to face a tough Bears defense is no easy feat, and the Vikings got the job done. In this game, Aaron Jones rushed for over 100 yards, and both Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson had standout performances. It was a solid team effort. When you look at this 9-2 Vikings squad, it's hard not to feel optimistic. Just a month and a half ago, they narrowly lost to the Detroit Lions, so it's clear they can compete with the best. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings win a playoff game, or even 2. With 3 NFC North teams likely heading to the playoffs this year, anything can happen, especially when rivals face off. Looking ahead, the Vikings have some important games coming up. They'll be taking on Arizona next Sunday, followed by the Atlanta Falcons, and they still have one more matchup against the Bears and the Green Bay Packers. Plus, don't forget about the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. Every win counts, and the excitement is just getting started. Even if the wins aren't pretty, whether it's against Jacksonville, Indy, Tennessee, or even the Chicago Bears in that nail-biting fourth quarter, I'm still celebrating those victories. So welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're all about the Minnesota Vikings. If you're a fan, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's aim for 300 likes on this video, folks. Your support means more than you can imagine. Now let's talk about that impressive game against the Chicago Bears. We know they have a tough defense. And just 2 weeks ago, the Green Bay Packers barely escaped Soldier Field with a win. But the Vikings really stepped up. For the first time since the 2000 season, 24 years ago, they had a game with a 300-yard passer, 2 100-yard receivers in TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison, and a 100-yard rusher in Aaron Jones. That's pretty amazing against such a strong defensive front. Sure, the Bears were missing some key players like Jaquan Brisker, but they still brought the heat. All-pro cornerback Jaylon Johnson managed to keep Justin Jefferson quiet, limiting him to just 2 catches for 27 yards. On the other hand, Sam Darnold had a fantastic game, throwing for 330 yards, the 5th highest of his NFL career. He finished with 2 touchdowns and, most importantly, 0 interceptions. What stood out to me was how Darnold came through when it mattered most. In overtime, he completed all 6 of his attempts, and in the fourth quarter and overtime combined, he was 11 of 13 for 166 yards, making 2 big-time throws without any turnover-worthy plays. One of my favorite highlights from this game: no turnovers from Sam Darnold. No fumbles, no interceptions. Plus, we saw a 100-yard game from Aaron Jones and a rushing touchdown in the second half, which is something we haven't seen much from Minnesota this season. Now, there were a few bumps along the way. For instance, Aaron Jones had a fumble right at the start of Minnesota's first possession in that game. But hey, that's football for you. One thing I want to highlight is that when Aaron Jones needs to step up, he usually does. Fumbles have been a bit strange this season, but if we can get the running game with Cam Akers and Aaron Jones rolling like we know they can, just like we saw against the tough Chicago Bears defense, then we're in for some exciting times. The Vikings have a solid offensive line, a great coaching staff, and a capable quarterback surrounded by plenty of talent. Plus, they boast the 4th-ranked defense in the NFL. That's a winning formula right there, and it could lead to some big victories. Now, I know the Detroit Lions are looking pretty unbeatable right now, but don't forget, the Vikings are just a game behind them. They have a road matchup in Week 18 that could be crucial. Who knows? That game could decide the NFC North title, a playoff spot, or even a home playoff game. It's exciting to think about. Honestly, this might be the most underrated 9-2 team I've ever seen. We talked about it last week. This team is nothing like the luckier Minnesota Vikings from 2022. They're showing real dominance at times. The only issue we've noticed this season is that they struggle to maintain that level of play for a full 4 quarters. They'll have 3 quarters of solid performance, then have a quarter where they slip up, often in the first period. Looking back at the first half, it felt like a hockey game with how lopsided it could have been. The Vikings could have easily been up against my Green Bay Packers, say 28-3 or even 28-0, but somehow the game ended up way too close for comfort. And that's kind of how the Bears game played out too. Keep in mind that the only reason Chicago had a shot in this game was due to some rare occurrences, like converting an onside kick, which you just don't see often. I think it hit Johnny's leg, so that's something they need to clean up. Minnesota should have been able to handle this game in regulation, but thankfully they pulled out the win. Typically, these are the kinds of games the Vikings would lose, so it's great to see them come through. Now let's talk about Jordan Addison. He had a quieter start to the season, especially considering he's such a talented rookie, but he really broke out with a career-high 8 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown. He was just a yard away from scoring 3 touchdowns in that game, which is impressive. And let's not forget about TJ Hawkinson. He's back and making an impact. Plus, we have Justin Jefferson, who many consider the best wide receiver in the NFL, and I'm definitely on that train. You also have TJ Hawkinson, one of the most reliable tight ends in the league, alongside Jordan Addison and Jalen Naylor, who caught another touchdown against the Bears. With Aaron Jones and Cam Akers in the mix and Sam Darnold at the helm, this offense can really put up points. They're currently ranked 10th in scoring. When this defense plays to its potential, which we know they can, the Vikings become a tough team to beat. Speaking of defense, Harrison Smith continues to have an outstanding NFL career, and Byron Murphy is having a stellar season with the Vikings as well. Over the past month, this defense has been nothing short of phenomenal. Jonathan Greenard has been a standout, racking up 2 more sacks, 6 total tackles, and even forcing a fumble in Sunday's game. Andrew Van Ginkel is also having an impressive season, and Blake Cashman continues to make impactful plays. Josh Metellus is getting in on the action too. These guys are just relentless. With all this talent, it's hard to believe the Vikings are still the most underrated 9-2 team I've ever discussed. It's almost unheard of for Minnesota to be sitting at 9-2, even if some of those wins haven't been blowouts. Remember, their second loss against the Rams came on a short week on the road and right after a tough game against the Detroit Lions. That's it for today. I've got to hit the road, but I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. We'll definitely catch up before Sunday's games. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for daily NFL content. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this 9-2 Minnesota Vikings team in the comments below. Peace.